This is essentially my passion side project, right? I've always needed a space to be able to work and be creative myself. And I literally, this space is kind of like the inside of my brain. What do you do here? Oh, I can do anything here from photography, videography, audio, sound, lighting, carpentry, welding, anything that I can literally get my hands on. And this kind of just reflects my ADD brain.
Everything happening here in Spckrft, we were inspired. We're like, we need more art. We need more representation of what local art means here in downtown Las Vegas.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Film Goals Podcast. Today, I'm with the one and only Spckrft. So we have Noel and Michelle, and they're the owners of Spckrft. So welcome to you guys for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I've shot a couple podcasts here, and I was like, well, we got to do you guys too, and we finally were able to schedule it. So, tell me a little bit about Spckrft and how it got started and like the journey to where you guys are at now.
Well, basically, working in the TV and film industry, I needed a place to like kind of just hold all my equipment, And so I actually jumped from space to space, looking for a place to put all my gear. And then I ended up at this place called the Union House. And they were able to give me enough space to actually put things out and then also have set it up as any way I want to. So I put a little photography studio in there. That was very small. And I basically had all this stuff set up. And I was able to just use it whenever I wanted, but otherwise it would just literally sit there and people started to ask me, I was like, oh, can I use your space? I'll pay for it. And I was just like, sure, I wouldn't, I don't even need to charge you, but yeah, sure, you can use it. And then, but eventually, it made more sense for everyone that they paid to use the space. And I was just like, yeah, let's pay whatever. And then that building was a little old.
I'm going to mic a little closer.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry.
Let's go to the band.
I know.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, man. So, yeah, that building was a little old, so it wasn't very professional. But, we did a lot of creative stuff there as well. So I didn't really promote it that much, but we were in that space for almost 7 years.
Wow.
And then a series of events caused us to find a new space really quickly, and we found this one, and it had everything we needed, and we decided to move in here, and
That'll be fun.
It became something to a level that was like, oh, we could actually promote this, So originally Spckrft was literally just my office space and stuff, and then I basically opened it up. Still technically kind of a private business because we're only open by appointment, and whoever wants to use it. And we're not we don't have business hours or anything like that. So,
okay.
So where we are now is in this awesome 4,000 square foot space, arts district. It's got a really cool vibe. A lot of people say that it doesn't feel like anything in that they've been in Vegas, so that's kind of cool. So I've always been influenced by LA, New York creative culture, and so that's kind of the vibe I want to bring out here. But say, oh, look, Vegas can be that same thing too. So
for sure. So you said you were production. Well, what kind of productions were you doing that you needed that space?
Oh, so I started getting into art department in 2014, doing little, just any kind of art department PA, or actually my first real art department gig was an on-set dresser for a indie feature a long time ago, 2013 actually, and it was called Sins of Our Youth.
Okay.
That was pretty cool. And then right after that production, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And so I already had some equipment and tools and stuff, so I was like, I'll just go all out. So I started buying as much equipment and everything as I could, and that's why I needed a space to put it all, and and also a place to build. So yeah, I started off as a PA, in about 2013 and started art department in 2014. And then after 2014, I didn't do anything else but art department.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you get involved in, other than you guys being married?
Yeah.
how are you involved in the arts, and how did that, partnership, how does it work?
Well, we actually met because of Spacecraft. I was working at that time back in 2019, I believe, with somebody else, a YouTuber, and I met David and Irie, and they suggested I should meet Noel and I should come to Spacecraft. I mentioned to them I did Reiki, that I was a painter, I was a creative, and I wanted to expand my creative skills. And they said, you should definitely meet Noel because it's a very creative space. He opens it to local artists. And I believe they were doing open mics with Snaps back then. And so they also mentioned a lot of cool things. But what really intrigued me was they were doing Reiki circles. I think every other 2 weeks or once a month, I'm not quite sure. I was asked to come to one of those, so I did. I believe it was Halloween.
Yeah,
I was like wearing this Mickey Mouse like ears. And I'm like, I don't know, what I'm walking into, but it was super warming. It was like a very nice, familiar space where it was comfortable for me to be in. And I didn't meet Noel till later that night when actually it might have been a couple other days, but in the process of that, when I met Noel, I was actually adjusting my phone. We were about to start doing the Reiki meditation, and they asked whoever's a Reiki practitioner, you can get up. So I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna record. So I was trying to adjust my phone, and Noel gets up and he's like, oh, you can just do this. And he immediately adjusted my phone to the perfect frame. And I'm like, oh, he knows what he's doing. And I'm like, okay, cool. And that was the first, I guess, interaction. And then later that night, they asked me, hey, Noel's asking for you. He's interested in a Reiki session. He wants to meet you. And I'm like, Noel? The Noel Calizo? And so towards the end of the night, finally, we met. And
yeah.
Yeah.
We were definitely introduced on the Halloween night when we did Reiki. So just to paint a picture, this is during COVID, the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
Everyone was locked down. No one was doing anything. And my space was just this creative space. And it was my friends wanted to do something. And then we had some friends that wanted to do Reiki circles. And so we were like, well, we could do it here. Well, it's just private. Whoever wants to come can come. And it was these really cool gatherings that we had that just everyone was welcome to. And yeah, it was really fun. So we met on Halloween night. And then as the events progressed, eventually we actually started getting so big, we had to do it outside. And there was a fire pit. And then by that time, we were introduced Halloween night. And then a few Reiki circles later is when I was like, oh, this person's really cool. I want to connect with her, but yeah. And it just to see, had zero intention of being anything more than just oh, you seem like a cool person. And she also did Reiki.
Totally.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. So how did you, once you guys started doing the studio together, how did you get involved in the, because you kind of you guys both run the studio together. So
Yeah.
How does it work? How the work that goes into putting the studio stuff and these events that you guys put together?
We actually have it really set up. So we have, how do I put this? So basically we have a space, right? And we open it up to anyone who wants to do something here. We don't necessarily go out and search and reach out to people. We hope that people reach out to us. And then we talk about their needs and how, we can help them. And then those things come together, and then whatever happens here happens, One of the things that we promote the most is we're a photography studio and a videography studio. But so we have that on Peerspace and on Gigster. And so it's like kind of like a free promotion,
Right.
And we want it to happen really organically. We didn't want to like force it. And so we really stuck with that, and then just word of mouth. And so as far as, sorry, I'm like trying to think like what my train of thought was going to.
So is it like, do you consider your full-time job running the studio, or is it just still something that you kind of do on the side? Because it seems like your events are like ramping up and you guys are creating a lot of different things.
We did talk about creating an art program, because out of all of the events, out of everything happening here in Spckrft, we were inspired. We're like, we need more art. We need more representation of what local art means here in downtown Las Vegas, because that's where we're located. And we were talking to Jorge from Ving Magazine, and we threw some ideas. And towards the beginning of the year of last year, we had our first residency with Shahab Zargari. He did a art show, and that was fantastic, very successful event. And with time, we were just inspired. We want people to come here and use the space. I feel like, it has happened organically. And the fact that we are still here is because of this man. He has invested so much of his time, dedication, passion to really bringing the space to people. And that's what we want. We just want people to come together organically. We don't want to reach out, not necessarily because, first of all, we're very busy. We are actually getting so busy, and because of the space, and 2 years ago we did move to a bigger space, a 4,000 square footage space, and the events happened organically and they're private. And that's what we love about it, because it is more of a community rather than just, keeping it open to random productions. We focus mainly on minorities. We focus on,
we want to support all the communities out there that need a voice to be heard. So anyone that feels like they want to tell the story of a people that need to be heard, we want to connect with them the most. But we're open to everybody.
For sure. We want to just create a space where it's safe for people. And that's what, Spckrft is. It's a space for your craft. If it's genuine, if it's honest, and if it has a message that can really impact in a positive way. Really what it is, which is why, it's focused on connection.
As far as your first question, so basically, this is essentially my passion side project, right? I've always needed a space to be able to work and be creative myself. And I literally, this space is kind of like the inside of my brain. What do you do here? Oh, I can do anything here, from photography, videography, audio, sound, lighting, carpentry, welding, anything that I can literally get my hands on, and this kind of just reflects my ADD brain. But this is really just a side project, and I try to take any free time I have available to focus on this place. But essentially, my full-time career is TV and film, and doing production design, art direction, and prop master.
Cool. Let's talk about that. You've done some pretty big projects recently.
Yeah.
For films. You want to talk about the films that came and the kind of the work that you did for them?
Yeah. 2024 was a crazy year. It started off really intense. We did Super Bowl. That was last year, right? Or was that the year before? 2024.
Every year.
No, but the one that happened in Vegas.
2 years ago.
Oh, what was that? I don't remember.
That
No,
was
2024.
Oh, okay.
I think it was 2024. I'll look it up. Anyways, we started off with, I literally did 3 different productions in the same time frame. And one I was like production designer, one I was a prop master for Nickelodeon, and one was the NFL Players Association. We were doing this really cool like 80s style photo and video shoot. That and all in 1 week. So that was that. And then we did Venom was shooting in town, and I got on as a set dresser. And I was thankful to have any position. That was really great to work with the people on that. We did a movie this year with Al Pacino and Vince Vaughn, and that should be out Christmas this year. So we'll see. And then on that one, I was a lead man. So in the art department, there's a set deck team, and we basically go in and dress all the sets, and we work directly with the decorator. And so I led the team that was going in and out, loading. We're basically professional movers. It's like, all right, we need all this stuff for this room today. Move it in, move it out. Yeah, it was pretty intense. And then one of the other biggest projects that we did recently was the Seth Rogen project for Apple TV. The studio. I don't even think it's out yet, actually.
I think it comes out like in a couple months.
Right. Yeah, that was amazing. We were on that for a few weeks, and I was a gang boss for that. Basically the same position. Gang boss works just under the lead man, and we're just a team of people moving in all the set dressing and stuff like that, and putting it all together. One of the most recent fun projects we did too was a feature film that was almost completely shot on a cruise ship.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Royal Caribbean, and
that was here in town.
No, that was.
Oh, you actually went on the ship.
We went on the ship to Puerto Rico, then to Miami, then to Bahamas, then to Miami again.
Yeah, back and forth from Florida to the Bahamas.
How was it to actually shoot a film on a cruise ship?
It definitely wasn't easy because we didn't have the ability to be like, hey guys, can we go and grab this for, this scene? And it's like, oh, well, we can't just drive to the store.
Right.
You're stuck on a ship.
Yeah.
So everything has to be like pre-prepped.
We pre-prepped everything. And when they knew that, look, if you bring up something random that we need out of nowhere, we're not going to have it. Right. But
which happened
happened.
Normal productions, and we were able to get it done with what we had.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh yeah. So basically, there was one moment they were like, we need to do a balloon drop. And I was like, oh, okay. We need to find balloons. And so I literally had to figure out logistics for it. So we were docking in Florida, and I was like trying to call around to see when we could pick up some balloons. And there was nothing that made any sense because we couldn't just go off the ship and on the ship freely. There was like a whole process. And so I was like, I went to actually the ship's concierge, and we were able to ask them for if they knew how to get balloons. And we found out that they have a balloon drop that they do on the ship for the first. It literally aligned with the first day that they had guests arriving to be guests on the ship, and they already had balloons. Wow. And so I was like, can we have 300 balloons? So we got lucky. So there was a lot of that involved. So it's wild. But yeah, when you start sourcing for things and magical things happen.
So what is kind of because I'm guessing as an art director or designer, you got to have a certain eye to look at things. What do you look for when someone tells you, if you have an example of something for the ship or whatever, I want it to look this way. What do you think of, or how does your brain work? I'm trying to think how your brain works for that kind of stuff. One of the things
it kind of, I work backwards. Sorry, let me frame that in my head.
I know it's kind of like a hard question because it's like, as an artist, you got to have a certain eye for things.
Right. That's a really hard question to answer like right off the bat, because from an artistic point of view, you could be like, oh, this is what I envision for, you know, that scene, or this this look for this scene, and that might be one thing, but the director may have a completely different vision, and then also the producer might have a completely different vision. But then, that being said, the budget and time also has a completely different vision, and so it's like, how do we come to, you know, level playing ground from all aspects? And that's what makes it difficult to be that person. And then you know, essentially I like to start with, you know,
What is your budget?
what is your budget, you know, obviously what the time frame is. It really depends on the director, actually, and the producers. Like, sometimes you can just be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and they'll be like, oh, great, you know. And I would definitely have budget and you know, time frame in mind always. And so we always have a starting point, and then we kind of work our way around what we can and can't do, you know.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the answer is we can't do that, you know. And so it's definitely not as much of a creative process as I'd like it to be, but sometimes it's just creative in a way where it's like, how can we get the look that we need with the least amount of money and time? So it would be my actually absolute goal to get on a project where money and time aren't necessarily an issue, but obviously it's always going to be an issue. But it would be cool to be like, here's my idea if those two items were not an issue, right? So it's be like, oh, that'd be great. Can we build this set? And we would love to have all this and, you know, involved with it, and builds and you know, maybe practical things happening all over the place. And yeah, it would just cost a lot of money. But now I'm thinking the question. ADD brain.
No, that was the answer that
Yeah.
you gave me. That. So for you, that you're kind of like now his assistant, I would say, or whatever. I don't know what you would call yourself, but how did you get into it? And then what are you learning? Like, are you building stuff with him and, you know, creating?
Totally. It was absolutely a life change, a huge shift. Once I started coming to Spacecraft more, you know, I realized, oh, maybe we need to clean a little more to look more presentable, you know, or maybe we need to, you know, and I was helping, you know, some organizational stuff that needed to happen. And then, you know, throughout all of that, I started, you know, assisting him in moving stuff if they needed for production. And I wasn't necessarily in production, but I was helping. And then I started taking some PA gigs, and then I was able to do a film with him. We shot Skeletons in the Closet, which wasn't on Netflix. Did it play on Netflix? It was on Netflix at some point last year.
Netflix? I'm not sure, actually. I think it was Prime.
Whether it was Prime or Netflix, it was like, you know, a moment for me, like, wow, I was, you know, working. Yeah. I was there on set. And for me, I've never, you know, experienced set before meeting Noel and Spacecraft. And it was great to see it from his perspective, because he's so on point with everything, and he's so, you know, persistent on getting things done correctly and in a timely manner, that, you know, it helped me figure out, oh, I need to, you know, be on it, keep my eyes open, ears open, make sure to be a team player. So it's helped me develop my character as well as, you know, maturity, because in a, you know, professional setting, because being on set it's all of that. It's you have to keep, your full, your mind, body, soul activated. Otherwise, you will get devoured, And he's only worked on big sets, and, he's got like, 70, 80 credits just on IMDb. So for me
60 something.
well, besides the one that IMDb doesn't have, there's so many other ones that in between that, while running Spacecraft and, checking the schedule, and it's just us. And so it does become, a lot that for me it's like, okay, well, we need structure, and I'm here trying to, follow that lead, and it's fun. I love the fact that we're always learning, we're always progressing, we're not stagnant, and if we do see, our relationship, we take it home and we take it everywhere, as well as work. We're able to really integrate these aspects so well because we understand each other. He introduced me to the term twin flames, and it's like we're literally the same person. So when I see, his shadows, I'm like, oh man, okay, I do that too, And so when I see him, being, direct and strict, and I feel some type of way, I'm like, okay, no, he knows, he's been in, he's practiced this before. And yeah, it humbles me a lot.
Yeah, when we started actually dating and stuff, it was funny. It was like I get like these projects all the time, super low budget, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, like who's gonna want to take this rate? And then so it was like, okay, we get along so well that I was just like, hey, you want to start working on these projects with me? Because it's like, it's hard to find people that are just like on board, like, hey, we're gonna do this. Are you willing to figure it out with me? And it's definitely not easy, right? And she's always been able to just be like, yeah, let's do it, and like, and it kind of like reflects on how our relationship is. It's like, hey, here's issues, do we just freak out, get mad and blame and point each other, or we just go, hey, let's figure it out. It's like, this is it. We're gonna figure it out all the way through. And so that's the kind of people I wanted around me. And so when we started hanging out, before we even started dating, she was always down to just like, yeah, I'll help you out in the studio and do whatever. And I was just like, who's this person? She doesn't even know me, right? And it was just fun to just finally realize, I was like, how do we get along so well? And it's like, it worked out. And so we did a few productions together, and it was just easy. And so we also, since we're very similar, I was able to be like, hey, while I'm working on this project, can you handle everything at the studio too,
Yeah.
And so she holds it down here while I'm out doing other projects and stuff, and it's great. It's like we're clones.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys just had your first mix, or I don't know if that was your first mixer, but you had a big mixer right at the end of 2024.
Yeah.
It was our first.
It was your first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really good first one.
Yeah. I mean,
How did that come up? And then what is like your plan with these mixers in the film industry?
so I've been to other mixers, and I'm actually a very introverted person, and I'm forced to be extroverted. And so it actually is one of the things that makes it hard sometimes to work with me in any kind of production or anything like that, because it's just like, I'd rather just stay to myself, but I have to figure out how to like lead a whole bunch of people all the time. Anyways, so one of the things I noticed about going to a mixer is you get there, first you have to decide if you want to go. You have to be around all those people. And then when you get there, for me, my first thing is like, oh, find someone I know, because there's a lot of people here. And then so I find, let's say I see you there. I'll be like, hey, what's up? How's it going? And we'll end up talking for the whole time.
Right.
and just talking about things that we already know about each other and projects that we want to work together on. And it's like, oh, okay, awesome. But there's literally like maybe 30, 40 other people there that we'll never ever meet and we'll never talk to. And it's like, that could have been the one person away that both of us could have met that had been like, oh my God, I need you on my production and we can grow together.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so how do we solve that problem? Like, so where we get to meet everyone, know who they are, and understand what they do without literally trying to meet and shake hands with everybody. And so I figured it would be awesome if everyone was able to go in front of everybody, introduce themselves, talk about, you know, some of their background and some of their goals, and, you know, just go through the entire group in the mixer so everyone can kind of know about everybody. And also maybe I actually found out that many people don't really want to be that social, but they also want to connect somehow. Yeah. And so going to these, it's like, is a challenge, but also trying to connect with everybody. So the people that went up that are actually introverts were able to talk to everybody and have somehow feel like less pressured.
Right.
Right?
Even though you're up on stage, so
Right.
you got the mic in your hand.
Yes.
Yeah. It was so weird. It was like, hey, this
Yeah.
is who I am. This is what I do. If you like it, come talk to me, right? And, you know, I actually was talking to some people that are like super introverted. And because they were able to tell everybody, they have like 3 or 4 people come up to them interested in what they do. And he knows that, like, if it was in any other way, no one would have known.
That connection would have been made.
Right.
Yeah.
It's also like a little bit like intimidating to just approach people, right? So, and then so when you introduce yourself, you get to see your personality and how chill you are, because everyone was so chill. I was like, it was such a good group, and I was so happy that everyone was so into it, and I honestly had no idea what to expect. But yeah, so when people see like, oh, they're definitely approachable, they're super chill and super cool. And so we had an open mingle after. I just felt like everyone was just like super easy to talk to. Everyone, you kind of felt like you knew everybody already. And so that made me feel really good.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a really good way to do it, because like there was some people that had positions in film that I never like would have met before.
Right.
Like there was a person that did a wardrobe and like sewed stuff. I was like, wow, I haven't met a wardrobe person, maybe 1 or 2 before this. Yeah. And then somebody else said something else about like maybe like a business.
Like
he
contracts?
Yeah, that guy. I was
Right.
like, whoa. Like I've never met a person that talks about contracts, stuff like that. And that's important, you know what I mean?
Huge.
So it was cool to like that those people came. And for it being like the end of December when the holidays are happening, there was a lot of people that showed up. So
Yes.
that was cool.
Yeah.
We did our
sold out
RSVP.
in like 5 hours.
It's like,
on
like so
Eventbrite.
quick. We was like, let's put 40 RSVPs out there, and it was so quick. We were just like, wait, what? Like,
Yeah.
It showed us, you know,
We added what, 30 more?
we had
seats?
to add 20 more, and because it was just like too quick. Everyone's still saying like, oh, it's sold out, I can't go, and I'm like, there's no way that all 40 people are going to be able to show up. So I added 20 more because like people were asking about it, but
And a lot more people asked, and a lot more people came.
Yeah.
We weren't going to say no to people. We
Yeah.
wanted to just have a head count. However, it was like everyone wanted to come, and it was such a great time. And the hosts were fantastic too.
Ali and Willem.
And
Yeah.
William from BTS. Las
literally
Vegas.
they've done work here before with us, and we've connected previously, and they both have like these really great, you know, social media presence, you know, so it's like, oh, how perfect, you know. And so we're definitely going to integrate what they do more in promoting and getting them involved more. And we also want to find more people that want to get involved, like other content makers that want to come to just be a part of it and create content while they're here. And so it's basically like cross pollination, if you'd say, like they're here getting content, and then we're reaching out to their network now. And so that was huge in how I think the success of the first one was, and hopefully even it's going to be able to affect the next one. I think it's going to be bigger.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be even bigger. So
With this mixer that just happened, you guys are planning doing one monthly. And what is your plan for 2025?
as far as mixer, yeah, we are hoping to do one, not necessarily monthly. We're going to do it like every about 40
6.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then they're pretty intense to really.
I think 6-week mark would be good for people to digest,
Yeah.
get the information, and reach out to people. And we're hoping, you know,
For me, it's not necessarily just for people to get it, but it's more like also having time to plan the next one.
Yeah,
you know?
everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of prepping, and so the next one we want to connect with way more people. Like we want to get businesses involved that want to sponsor, maybe show up here, put a table out. You know what I mean? Go up there and talk about what they do. Because there's a lot of people that don't know the resources available in Nevada, you know?
Yeah.
We might even get connected with Danette Tull of the Nevada Film Office. And since we know now that it's going to be successful, like it's definitely something they should want to connect to. Fingers crossed. I don't want to expect that they're just going to be like, yeah, let's go over there. But yeah, anyone that has any kind of affiliation with TV and film, if they want to reach out to us and find a way to be a part of it, and we're not expecting anything. So whatever they want to do to be a part of it, we're totally down. So
That's awesome. So yeah, what are your plans for 2025?
2025.
Something you guys are working on. You're looking forward to.
Well, there is a possibility that we find a bigger space.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's crazy because everyone loves the space already. But the landlords that we have here offered us a bigger space. So think 6,000 square feet. And it's a freestanding building all to ourselves.
You won't have drummers.
We won't have,
We won't have the drummers up there.
we won't have neighbors making noises
Yeah.
that affect the ability to do videography here and filming.
In the afternoons.
So that's a possibility. We're going to have to find some partners, though, because it almost doubles what we're paying here. But I think it would also double, whatever we're capable of doing here.
And is that you guys don't have a location yet or no?
Yeah, we do. It's,
We have the location.
it's in the downtown spaces. It's a creative space.
Here. Okay, so still in the downtown area.
It's in
Totally.
downtown.
It's maybe
still
3
in the art-
minutes away from this location, actually.
Yeah, we could almost walk there.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, I think you can actually. But yeah, it's gonna have for me a bigger workshop space, and then very defined creative like photography studio and studio spaces. There's gonna be a very significant office space, and we might be able to have like studio A, B, and C, and office space. Yeah, so one of the things I always want to do is make spaces like this accessible to any price range,
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's really important to get entry-level creatives experience.
Sorry.
You're good. Entry-level creatives, a way to experience working in a professional space, because then they'll feel, it's like whenever you want to do something, surrounding yourself with all the energy that you need to focus on it is like super important. Being in the right mindset and mind space for it. And that's kind of like one of the reasons I put this place together, So, and another thing is hopefully we get more involved with bigger productions. And so if we're having noise issues from our neighbors, we couldn't
Right.
be like, oh yeah, come use their studio, for filming. Right, because it's like, so that's the one thing that was holding us back. We've actually started doing private events, and that replaced the money that we would have made from doing TV and film and productions, right? So, and honestly didn't think I wanted to do it, but when we started seeing some of the events that people put together here, it's amazing.
So inspiring.
So inspiring.
So inspiring. Motivating.
And that's why I thought, let's do the mixer here, because it was like, look at all these other people doing cool things here. We can do it too, right?
Yeah.
And then, we were able to find ways to work around the noise from the neighbors, and what kind of projects we could do that it wouldn't be that big a deal that there's a little bit of noise in the background. So we also have the audition table. So both those things are actually filmed productions. The mixer event we're starting to figure out a way to capture it so it could be content for YouTube. And so now when you come in and speak to that group of people, you're actually not only speaking to them, you're speaking to everyone watching on YouTube. And so now there's a database out there for you to go, oh yeah, I saw you on YouTube and I reached out because you said you did this and that. And the more of that we can get filmed and put it online, I think, the more a community can grow and get stronger. And any experience and more experiences we can get to create productions together is all a move in the right direction, right? So
Yeah. I love it.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's Spckrft, you guys. Thank you for letting me use your space and being on the
Thank you.
podcast.
Thank you.
Check them out. You can check them out on their website, on social media, and be on the lookout for the mixers. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Thanks, guys.